Welcome to Recumbent TV. I'm your host, Travis Preble, here to break all the stereotypes about recumbent riders. Okay, not entirely true. But what is true is that we have some great video for you in this, our premiere episode, episode 1 of the incredibly long titled Recumbent TV, the show, episode 1, The Fandom Menace. Scratch that last part. What we do have for you this episode, though, is some footage from Interbike 2010 that we haven't shown before. We have a review of the Lightning Phantom Quad, and we also have a tale of woe from a Pennsylvania rail trail, which honestly isn't entirely the fault of the rail trail, although the video will blame everything on it. For our first video this episode, we're going to go back a little bit to Interbike 2010 to show you some of the products that were on the show floor. Now, we've released some footage in the past, especially of the Gecko FX. You're going to see that again, but we're also going to take a look at some of the other things we haven't released before. Take a look.
Hello. Welcome to Interbike 2010.
Well, I think we have our intro.
Yeah, right. Shall we?
What's interesting about that video footage is actually the footage of the Gecko FX. We'd hoped to have it in time to do video for episode 1, but it looks like we're going to have to wait till episode 2. You see, there were some complications actually getting it. We went to the warehouse to pick it up, but apparently somebody else left with it before we could get our hands on it. And we just happened to be recording that day, so why don't we go see what happened?
Hey, how's it going? Dude, there's a line here? Dude? Yes? Hello. I know you can hear me. Hello, I was here first. Hello. Okay.
Hey, it's the guy behind you.
Yeah, okay.
Can we switch now?
Your photo is a hamster. And your mother's smell of elderberries if you don't get back here in 10 seconds. I swear, I'm gonna come in there. Oh, that's it! I quit! I can't take it anymore. What's it take to get a stinking test trike around this place? Holy crap. I need a new hobby.
Let's go ahead and move on now to our review of the Lightning Cycle Dynamics Phantom Quad.
New for 2011 from Lightning Cycle Dynamics is the Lightning Phantom Quad. The quad made its debut at Interbike 2010 and has a dual mission: to ease riders into two-wheeled recumbents and to provide a platform for riders with disabilities. The quad consists of a standard Lightning Phantom fitted with an outrigger frame and wheel. The frame attaches to the underside in place of the usual kickstand, which will obviously not be missed since there are 2 extra wheels to keep the bike upright. The single bolt attachment allows one to mount or dismount the outriggers with relative ease. Riders who don't mind going the Ben-Hur chariot route can simply remove the wheels themselves via quick releases. This is useful for transport and for switching between riders with different balance requirements. The outriggers are not adjustable in any way and are designed to take frame flex into account. In fact, flex is required to bring the tires closer to the ground surface. Leaning to either side, the Phantom Quad can leave up to a ½ inch of air between tire and road, but sitting on the trike reduces that to a ¼ inch or less. Still, during my rides, I've found that the Phantom Quad wanted to rock side to side. The flex was present, but the road surface wasn't entirely level. This resulted in some uneasiness on my part during a neighborhood jaunt. In conversing with another Phantom Quad rider, it was determined that getting the Phantom Quad with full suspension eliminates the bouncing as the bike sits low enough to put pressure on the wheels at all times. Lightning touts the mid-frame placement of the quad outriggers as an advantage intended to provide unmatched stability, but the midline placement introduced its own issues. The first was wheel lift while cornering. As a recumbent rider, one's inclination is to lean into turns, but doing so on the Phantom Quad can result in lifting both the outside outrigger and the rear wheel, which dumps traction and might leave you spinning wildly for a moment. A similar problem happens when mounting curb cuts, such as this one at the end of a driveway. The outriggers lift the rear tire, causing some crank spinning, but it passes quickly once past the cut. But to be honest, I'm not the target market. The Phantom Quad is like a trike that grows into a bike. It introduces new riders to recumbents without the fear of falling over and allows them the opportunity to remove the supports once they're ready to ride two-wheel. It also gives stability while placing the rider higher up for visibility. And of course, it's a nice option for people with balance or other physical issues who don't want to go the trike route. My only real concern is that the presence of the outriggers might help new riders learn bad habits that will be harder to correct later. The inability to lean into turns properly could prove a hindrance once the wheels come off. But for new riders who want an option that will grow with them, or riders who need the extra support and want the height, the Lightning Phantom Quad is a bike that fills a niche. The Phantom Quad retails for $2,150. The outrigger frame and wheels can be purchased separately for $550 and weigh in at 10 pounds.
Our final video for episode 1 is, as I've said before, a tale of woe. 4 people going out for a pleasant ride on a rail trail and having everything possible go wrong.
You know, everything looks good from a distance. Check out this rail trail, the Lehigh Gorge, 25 miles from Whitehaven to Jim Thorpe, Pennsylvania, with a mere 600-foot elevation difference. I may never ride this trail again. It's not even a rail trail to me anymore. It's the fail trail. The first mile was nothing but smiles. We put our trike train onto the trail and set off for a day of camaraderie, on our way to Jim Thorpe and an enjoyable day. Just look at Eric back there. We all felt the same. But then it happened. Failure number 1. Within the first mile, we heard a distinctive and brought the train to a stop to try to figure out what was going on. Turns out what we heard was the idler guard flying off onto the trail. We took a quick look, found the idler guard, and this is what happened.
I think what happened was that this probably won't fall off again. Yeah. It's just that when the chain went kaflooey, it went boing.
And so we were on our way, having lost some time to the repair. We had to keep an eye on the idler guard to make sure it didn't work its way out again. But otherwise, things were back on track. Since none of us had ridden the Lehigh Gorge before, we relied upon a bike computer to measure our progress by miles traveled. But then it happened. Failure number 2.
Well, I foolishly allowed the wire to come loose on my computer. Now it's broken.
Eric set to fixing the computer, stripping the wires with his teeth, affixing the repair to the frame with zip ties he had had in his bags. Without the computer, we would have been lost. So it was a relief to hear.
Holy crap, it works.
The other nice thing about having the computer is that it gave us our speed. The not so nice thing is that it showed we were traveling slowly, on a mild downhill slope. The surface of the trail had only recently begun to thaw, and the moisture let our wheels sink into the ground and slowed our efforts. It didn't help that we were pedaling around 800 pounds of weight. As our speed slowed and our obstacles mounted, Tom wondered if continuing all the way into Jim Thorpe was a good idea. Let's go for it, I said. And so we did. But then it happened. Failure number 3.
I just now got a look at that opening.
It's like, I don't think I'm gonna have.
We'd be better off ducking under.
Yeah. Okay.
No, okay, we're good.
Okay.
Okay. Whoa! Oh!
Scraped it. If I had some past experience as a big rig driver, I would probably handled that
Yeah.
slightly differently. Sorry about that, Eric.
By this point, we were a mere 1 mile from civilization. Dear Lord, look at this. Paved roads. Nothing makes you appreciate asphalt more than 25 miles of gravel. You could say that, well, everything was going smoothly, and we knew we would soon be in sight of Jim Thorpe. But then, it happened. Failure number 4. Rail trails tend not to be complex trails. You follow one path, and you keep going until you get to the end. But what happens if, when you get to the end, there's no sign telling you you've reached the end? That was the case for us. We happened to ride right by a railroad trestle that was to take us on to the rest of the path. So underneath the barrier we went. Watch out for that flag.
And with a mighty doing, we are on our way.
It was smooth sailing from here into town. We could see Jim Thorpe from the bridge, off in the distance. We were mere moments away from a satisfying lunch, so we could get started on the trip back. But then, it happened. Failure number 5.
We could run into something a lot worse than, what we're seeing in front of us is a trail that is passable. What lies around the bend is the question.
What lies around the bend indeed? We decided to go for it based on the advice of a local who let us know that this trail actually did go into Jim Thorpe. So we pulled the trikes through and rode some more gravel on into town, where we did have lunch, and we did head on back to where we began our trip. But I won't lie and say that the trip back was perfect, because it happened. Failure number 6. On the return, we hit a point where none of us could stand to be on the trikes anymore. So we all got up and let Tom pull the train along the path. In total, our 50-mile round trip took 10 hours. Nobody thought we'd ever sit on our trikes that long. Not for what on the map looked like such a short ride. We eventually made it back. There was time for joking, time for reflection, and we weren't nearly as glum as this background music makes it seem. And that was our trip on the Fail Trail.
The good news is we all made it back alive. Yay! Okay, well that's it for episode 1 of RecumbentTV. Thanks so much for joining us, thanks for watching, and we can't wait to hear your feedback. Especially thanks for getting all the way to the end of the episode, demonstrating the superior attention span of recumbent riders. Also thanks to RBR for the Interbike footage and for loaning us the Phantom Quad for our review. Thanks to HP Velotechnic for allowing us to edit their video. And thanks to everybody on that rail trail ride for not killing me after I put that footage together. All right, we'll see you next time. Until then, ride recumbent.